I love our cats. Always here with us. Good morning. It is Friday the she's most important.
Of course she is.
Most important. Hope you're having a spectacular day. The rain has subsided. Finally. And
For a few days.
Yeah, and so we got a little bit of time this morning before some of our YouTube company gets here. And so we got some visitors coming, and I'm looking forward to that. But before we do, I think we can get a little bit of work done today. Told you in my last video, I would either be one of two things, either working on the apple presses or working on this log. And I think, based on time and stuff, that this would be the best project for us to play with today. And I thought I'd run through a few extra educational items that we can learn on while we're doing this, because one of the things I wanted to get was there's a Doyle log stick. You can buy the old ones. And now he's the most important. I told you this is the chicken, rooster, gobbler, and cat channel.
It's the Garanimals channel.
The Garanimals. So one of the things I'd like to have, we got a cant log finally, and boy, that makes a difference in us getting the logs up on there. Boy, we flipped one up a couple days ago, and our neighbor looked at us like, "You just did that?" I said, "Well, it's just leverage." He was enjoying it because he dragged the log around here. But let's take a look at a couple of other things just for the fun of it, and then we'll show you us milling this down and seeing what we can yield out of this. All right, so let's take a look. Come on around. Why don't you stand there so they can see the whole log there, honey? Right here, I've got, if I take and measure it from the end here, snorting at me. All right, so at the bottom ends is not, it's not square. I tell you what, let me do it the other direction. That end's square. So I got roughly a little over 13 feet. We did have the crotch, the branch right there. We did have that on it, but I cut it off because it's way longer than I needed, and there's a lot of rot in that too. You can see the rot extends in here. Come on in here. Let's take a look at this here. So you can see this area here is a bit on the punky side. So I'm not sure what kind of yield we're going to get. You can tell that those black ants are in here. Now I can make some boards out of this, and they may work just fine for the barn. Remember, we're just got to finish off the barn. And the outside edge of this part is in pretty good shape. Now you go down and look at the butt end, it's pretty nice all the way across. However, if you look, where is it at? I think it's this, not this one. There's another, so there's a branch here. Come around over here. There's a branch here, and there's obviously some ant-eaten holes here, so we're not sure what we can yield out of this. We're really crossing our fingers. So on the barn, the sides are only about 7 foot. Okay, so I've got, I can get, if I get a 7 foot, stay right, 6, 7. So, I only need about this much of this log to get bored. So hopefully this lower portion will yield the number of 3/4 bies, because I'm going to cut them at 3/4. I'm not going to cut them at 1 inch and mill them down. I'm just going to rough cut them at 3/4 and screw them up like I did with the others. But what we want to do is kind of get a feel for this, of what we're going to yield. And so I'd love to have, back to the beginning, I'd love to have one of those Doyle sticks. That'd be nice to have. Lufkin apparently does a folding one. Come on, let me get this thing back open here. But if you go online, and we got one here, it's a chart. And let's see, can you see that? Let me zoom in here.
Oops.
How did that work?
I don't know how it
You
did.
said, oh, Doyle log scale right there. You found it. Alright, so if you zoom in, it's not going to let me do that nicely. Get it to where you can see it. If you zoom in, you can see it says the Doyle chart. And it shows you on the top log length in feet. If you go to this side, let's see, right, shoot, damn it. Oh, it's auto flip. I hate this auto flip. So if you go to this side, let's see if I can get it. There you go. Okay, it says diameter in inches. Okay, so you start at the top. It's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Anyway, you can get this chart. There's a bunch of different varieties of it. This was the simplest, most basic. At some point in time, I will be taking this, printing it out on a sheet of paper, and getting some clear packing tape to use as laminate, and we'll laminate that joker and we'll stick it up on here to keep around the mill. So let's go through the exercise. I know you can't see it on here, but you're to measure the inside of bark to inside of bark. I've got about 13.5 inches on the small end, okay? 13.5 inches. So as far as true log yield, that's with the assumption of taking a cylinder straight out the center of it. Now this is pretty deep. This is pretty straight. This is pretty good, except for the slight undulation on the lower side of it. But when you do a yield for the log, say I was going to buy this log and I was a big mill, big lumber company, I would do that. I would use this, and I would go to this, and I go to the diameter inches, and it shows one here at 13 inches, and then I would go to the feet, and it does it in 2-foot increments, so it goes to 12 and 14. So at 13 inches, it's saying I've got between 61 and 71, 61 feet if it's 12 foot long, and 71 board feet if it's 14 feet long. Well, we got 13 feet long. That's not a lot. But then again, we're going to do a little bit different. But that's how you get the yield for measurement and quantifying the log. Now, mind you, there would be a massive subtraction for the issues that we have. As far as we're concerned, I want enough of those 3/4 boards to finish that wall and do those 2 doors. I think I can get it. Now, I was also thinking I could get a little artistic with it when it comes to the doors. So if I can get enough 3/4 inch pieces from the top of that, or from that lower 7 foot, the upper 6 foot, whatever I could get, I could, since they won't be a full length board, we were talking about doing 2 half doors, so that we could open up the upper half or the lower half or whatever. We're going to do maybe 2 half doors. That would lead me to maybe doing some diagonal slats on it for decorative purposes, or just shorter, 4-foot pieces. So we could get that. So I know, just talking about it, I'm feeling pretty good we can get that much out of here, assuming that the rot isn't too much more than that, which I'm not sure of, and that's what we're got to find out when we get in there. We got a little bit more setup to do. We got to set some logs over here for stacking the boards on, and we may have to change the blade. The blade is still on it from the last go round, but it was still cutting pretty good. We'll give it a cut if it doesn't look like it's going to make it, because this is really hard blackjack oak. This is extraordinarily hard. When the branches die on the lower part of it, well, just look at this one right here. Come around over here. This log up here, this is a blackjack oak right here, and as you can see, all the dead branches on the bottom don't want to rot off or fall off. They get extraordinarily hard, and if you go to cut them with a chainsaw, they are so hard for the chain that you will get sparks on your chain when you cut through some of these extraordinarily dense, hard. It's like an iron. So might have to change the blade in it. We'll see how we go, but let's give it a shot. We got other issues too. We drugged the log, so we may have some rocks in there. Hate to say it, but that's the nature of what we're doing, but we'll go for it. Let's get her set up, make a few runs, and we'll see what we come up with. Alright, we're set up, ready to go. I forgot to mention that we went ahead and checked level. I also checked the level of the deck, thinking that with all this rain it may have settled. It was perfect. And then we checked the log to make sure if we needed to buck up this end a little bit with some blocks to get it centered up, but no, actually laying it right where it is. So I've got it set ready for the first skim cut, and we'll see what happens with that. Alright, let's take a quick look. So far we're coming up with some okie dokie stuff. Now if you notice, where I measured out to about 7 feet, somewhere right in here, I got a much wider section of board cut than I do on this. Now, once we get into it, what that means is from here to here, or at least for a section here, I'll be able to get some more boards if I just rip them out of the table saw. Once I get down here, it's a little more parallel. It's not as flared. And why don't you bring your tools over here, honey? Let me shut off the lube so we don't run it all over. And a couple things. One of the things you may have noticed me do, when I get to the end here, I raise the blade back up about 1/4 of an inch just to get over top of it so I can see the gap. So when I'm pulling it back across here, I'm watching that blade and the gap. So if there's no pressure on the blade, how far is it, where is it cutting? And I want to see if I'm moving up and down. And there is a minor amount of that here. Minor amount of it. This is beautiful wood. You see that hard part, it gets red. There's some incredible colorations in this, and as long as I can get this cut down into narrow enough pieces, it won't split too bad, but it does tend to split quite a bit in the middle. So down here, once I get into this section, into this next cut, I should be able to get a couple wide enough boards to actually rip some 3-inch wide ones out of it. This one I'm already at that point. Now let's see other things to consider. Do I want to rotate this? That's a bit of work, but it gives me a flat edge to work off of. So when I start cutting, these 3/4 inch boards, I'll have a clean true edge on it, which should be a good thing to do. I was tempted to just lop it in half and see what one half of this is hard to work with like that. I kind of dive in and see what the internal conditions are. As you can see up here, we got a pretty good hole right there. If it stays that small and it doesn't open up too much, it could still make for okay boards, you know, barn boards. I'm thinking right now as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking that I want to take one more 3/4 inch slab off of this, and then maybe we try and turn it. What do you think of that? Let's do that. Alright, so here's the other slab. That joker's awesome looking. See, we could tell where we slow down and take our time going through it. It's some really nice looking stuff, but you see there's a little rod in there that's shown up. And we found another hole, and these two holes have opened up a little bit. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think I want to roll it. And unfortunately this battery on this phone is going dead, so I'm going to have to go charge this phone. But it's going to take us a while to get this rolled and positioned and jocked up and set in place, and then we'll update you here in a bit. Let me go put this on charge for you. Alrighty. So I got the battery charged just a little bit in the phone, and so we rolled it once and took down that side, did pretty good, and then we flipped it again and started cutting, and you can see a lot of the dirt. T's trying to clean it up. Hit enough rocks on this one cut right here. That was just it for the blade, which I figured. Tried to get in here and start pushing the blade through, and it just didn't want to go. So this thing, it needs to get taken out. Heck, you can even see some of the scratches in it from some of the gravel and stuff. But it's good. It's all good. That's part of the deal here. We'll get it taken off. We're working on getting the blade replaced. Now I want to take one more cut on this face right here. That will clean off the remaining bit of bark here out to past 7 foot. And then I'm going to flip it one more time, and I'm going to start taking this down right here. And you can see we're getting some stuff, but this is going to need to be worked on to kind of true it up. The real meat of it is going to be right there, and that's where we're going to get the most of our stuff out. I'll get a few out of these. I'll rip this down, and I'll take, you know, that much off of it, and then I'll have a 3-inch board here. So there'll be at least one board here and some other small pieces. So lot to get to that core. All right, let me get the blade changed and we'll be back with you in a bit. Okay, we got things pretty squared up, don't you think? It took us a little more than I thought while the phone was continuing to charge. While the phone was continuing to charge, we went ahead and kept working. You can see we've rolled it again and squared it up. Now when we got it to this side right here, there was, ooh, let's not get that covered up in dust. And this side right here had a lot more dirt in it. So the next blade I put in there, boy did I dull it up almost immediately. Almost immediately. So, yeah. Now here's where we're at. I've got it squared up. I've got a new blade in there. And I'm going to tell you what. Anybody who does this, and I might do a specific video on just this. Probably should, but if you're going to buy one of these, you've got to get you either got to make or buy a sharpener and make or buy a tooth setter. And I'll be making the tooth setter soon enough here. So there's some beautiful color in those boards. Beautiful color. Alright, so we got a few of them here, so you can see I can rip a couple of boards out of there. I might get one out of here. I'll get a couple out of here and here. These will be usable, so I'll be able to pick one or two out of these. But now we've gotten into the main meat, and here's what I wanted to do, is get down to where I had little to no bark on the edge. Yeah, these will have bark in it. But what I want to do now is get this down to a slab that I can just start running my 3/4 buys off. Alright, so here we're almost in production. So what I did is I took this, and you can see this core right here. There's some rod in it, and I'm just taking a hazard. If I take a 3-inch slab off of here, and then I can cut my 1-bys across here. Okay? If I can do that, maybe I can get the majority of this without too much. And that's a wild guess because I don't know how deep this is. When I get this top slab off, I'll at least get some here and some here. Now, how much I get in here, I don't know. We'll figure that out when we pull this off. Then, this is a little wider than 3 inches, and this is a little wider than 3 inches. So if I come over here and take 3 inches down here, and I take 3 inches down here, that gives me 2 more slabs. And let's take the tape measure, shake you around here real good. We have, come on, bent tape. We have almost 10 inches of wood here. So that would, for all intents, leave me with another 3 inch or so in the middle. Thus, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces that I could potentially take 3/4 boards off of, which means I got a lot of wood here. I think we're going to be more than suited to get this. I may even go as far as to doing something else with it, if I can be that productive with it, because I still got to build a frame over this. At some point, I've got to build a frame over our wood pile. Tina and I want to do a good wood shed. So we got other material that we can get out of here. And just looking at what we got on the ground there, and looking at what we got right here, I think will be more than good. So, but the magic is going to be flipping this slab off. So I'm going to take a 3-inch slab real quick here, and then we'll reevaluate what is possible or what isn't possible by whatever the holes are, because you can see them on this side right here. And they were leaking water out when we had them upside down. So let's check it out and see what kind of real stuff we can get out of here. If this is solid, there wouldn't be a problem with any board, but we got some punkiness here. Hopefully that didn't go too far down in it. Alright, the real answer is pulling that off. Let's do that. Alright, let's kick this thing over and let it go down. Hey. Yeah, I see him. Oops, knock that down. Alrighty, let's see what we got here. It's not as bad as I thought. Actually, it's pretty decent. Now, as soon as we got in here, a bunch of the ants. There's those black ants. Okay. Oh, and a whole nother nest of these red ones. Right there.
Yeah, they're all right
Yeah.
there.
But that's pretty stuff. Ooh, we got us a pretty good split right here. Yep, they're in there, aren't they?
Not no more.
Yeah, we'll get them out. We'll get them out. All right, so what does this mean? Let's think about this. Oh, look at that. Kill that one. There, we don't want that one. That's a queenie looking ant. Alright, so what does this mean? I think my assessment is probably very good, accurate assessment here. Which is in order to take the core portion out that we don't need. Well, let's take a quick look at here. Let's get my tape measure. And let's measure it. Alright, so remember, I need 7-foot boards. Oops. That thing is bent down there. Alright, 7 foot. So we've got our 7 foot right here before we even get into this. And there's a thought we could do as well, too, is we could potentially cut this at my length at 7 foot and then just do something else with this thing. Because I could come back and I could shave off the top edge of this, or the top piece of this, and go with a 2-inch slab right here with this, and we could cut off all of this. Take that off with that inch of it, maybe, and do that separate. Or do we just do 1 buys off, or 3/4 buys, 3s? That might be the thing to do. Just bulk out on. God, that's gorgeous. That is gorgeous looking wood. It's a shame it wants to split real bad when it dries, this blackjack. Getting down in there. But I think that should be the plan here. I think what we want to do is I'm going to rotate this. We're going to take the 3-inch slabs off of it, and then we can take each one of them, turn them up, and then start peeling off our 3/4 by 3, 3-inch wide by 3/4, which makes the perfect slats for that. And that might even leave enough in here for me to replace a few of those rotten ones down there that I did not really want to put up, but I was trying to get as much as I could done. We might be able to do that. We'll see. Alright, so I'm not going to sit here and bore you with the production, because that's going to be a whole lot of cutting. But we will come back and wrap this up once we have finished milling all of this. Man, this is fun. This is so much fun! And we're going to also try and do these today and that hickory today. Or as much as we can before our company gets here, about 1:30 or 2 or something like that. So, all right, back at it, and let's see what we can get. All right, I want to rotate both of them up like that. Okay. Nope, just kick this one off. There we go. Ooh. And then let's kick this one up. No. Rotate this up. There you go. Like that. All right. Very nice. All right, let's do this. Okay. We did good. All right, so here are the slabs. And these I'll stand on edge, put them up against the uprights here, just like this one is, and I'll start slicing off my little siding boards. I'm gonna get a lot of it out of there. I'm really impressed. But now that we've gotten in and we can actually see the core, we can see some issues with it. Here you can see, you know, we're running along the pith. This is where it's rotting and the bugs are getting into it there. And she can clear that out, and you can see that issue. All right, so this portion of the log contains the pith. It's gonna not be good for just about anything, actually. These boards are all cut with grain in such a way, you know, this will be quarter sawn, this will be going kind of cross grain a little bit, or with the grain a little bit. But once you get through all of these here in their grain, with the exception of a few of these here due to that, which I don't think is an issue down there where I've got need my 7-footers. Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of wood here, so I'm gonna take a chunk off of this one and get it down. Let's see, what do we got here? I was left with 4 inches right there, about 4 inches wide, and about 7 inches there. If I took a 4-inch cut down here down to 3 inches, I can't do that until I get these off the deck and out of the way. So we'll move those over here. That lower part will be a really nice piece. Or actually what I should do, let's go ahead and, in order to leave these here, except for that one's got to come off, I'll flip this over 180 degrees. I'll go ahead and start taking 3/4 slices off the bottom side, and that'll leave me with 4 inches that I don't have to move this to get these out of the way. And that'll be the way to do it, I think. And then whatever this is, it'll be a post that we can use. And even with the ant holes and stuff, there's enough of it from down there up to here, or the whole long thing, that once it dries out and gets hard, even with the holes in it, it'll be a good enough post or beam or something for building either our woodshed or the roof over this thing. Or a fence or whatever we want to build. So there you go. We'll show you that here in a bit. Alright folks, it is wrap up time. So as we are going along on these, some of these I would find where there were knots in them, and it would separate the boards. It'd break off or something. But most of these went through pretty cleanly. And I'm very satisfied and impressed. And here I thought I'd show you some really interesting stuff. This one 2x4 right here, this is the punky end, and you can see how it's actually starting to decay. This is where it's wood starting to rot. And you can see it really getting kind of rotten right in here, but the flecking is harder, and the coloration in that is pretty spectacular. And even down here where it's not rotten, you can still see some very, very prominent bold flecking. And so all of those slabs, okay, so the first one that we had up there that had the core in it, we went ahead and left it as a 4x4. And I decided to go ahead and take off essentially 2x4s. They're 4 inches. They're a full 4 inches by 1.5. And these I just left as a residue of the slab as I got down to it. I probably could have gotten another one off of that one, but I said to heck with it because there's still some bark on this. Down there, they're full boards. And I'll need some 2x4 kind of material as we go. And you can see I got a nice little stack here of 3/4 by 3 inches. And those are beautiful. Look at that. Look at that green right there. I mean, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Now, so I'll have one here. We'll get a couple out of some of these. So I can actually get probably, I don't know, we'll probably get 2 out of here. I'll probably take a inch off that end where that bark is so I get a nice cleaner edge. And then I'll rip out 3 and I'll rip out 3, and then whatever the residue is will be a scrap piece of wood for something. Now, start doing the math on my barn down there and all this beautiful oak that's going up on it. And that price tag keeps going up and up and up.
Yeah, but we're cutting our own wood.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. If we had bought this wood, if we had to buy this wood, we're probably closer to about $3 grand now by the time you start adding this.
What your sawmill cost.
Yeah, so that sawmill's halfway paid for itself. Alrighty.
So I'll go check on our baby.
Check on the birds. It's lunchtime. And I think that'll wrap up this video here. We got cleanup to do. Well, no, we're still going to try and work on that hickory log and some of these little logs right here. I think we'll just make some posts and stuff out of that. Square them up. Get some slats and posts and stuff out of it. But there you go, my friends. I think, so we got 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, probably 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. No, 9 times 9 inches, 81 inches. 81 inches, so it's not 8 foot. We got 8 foot of width. More than that. Wow, that's still not a lot by the time this gets cut down in single pieces. So to close out the video,
She has to come.
Miss Shadow says, hey. Alright, y'all. Say bye, T.
Bye.